All right, everybody. So, welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. I'm Dwyght Mack with Mack's Moving Training, and we got Ryan Marsh, former mover, strategic partnership. Anything else I should be hitting on, Ryan?
No, man, just always looking for new friends, right? Yes. Former mover, 12 years in the trenches. Yeah, I do miss it though. I think that's one thing that, you know, I do think
Mhm.
about this quite often, man. Is just like being in the day-to-day of the rush of peak season in a moving company, booking moves, booking those large commercial projects, getting kind of that big rush, having customers cry on your shoulder because of, they've got to leave and they don't want to leave the area. But, I miss that. I definitely miss that human, connection with the movers.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
But no,
definitely
it's
not.
just,
I've been feeling the same exact way. I definitely miss it. You know, um, I don't know if I missed the long nights staying up late, but
yeah, I don't miss that. No, I don't miss my phone having 500 text messages, the crazy emails, and the Saturday and the Sunday work. Like, no, I definitely have a healthier work-life harmony, I would say, way healthier than I ever had when I was in the moving industry. But on the bright side, I'm still in the industry. I still get to work with movers. Just now I have a different customer now, right? So instead of the ones that are moving, I'm actually working with the moving companies to assist them to provide a better experience for the people that they're moving. So still in it, and I have no plans of getting out of it. That's for sure. I love the industry, man. It's like once you're in it, you don't get out. And I was told that many years ago, like once you get in, you don't get out. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, here we are, what now, 15 years total in the industry, and here we are.
yeah, no, it be like that. I think I'm 10, 11 years strong in the industry at this point. And I've been thinking about like all my training and all my resources and information. People are like, have you thought about expanding outside the industry? I'm just like, what's out there? You know, I like it in here. And I don't know if it's a comfort thing, but it's just like it's one of those things where you're just like, well, if you know what you know, why try to expand yourself or spread yourself so thin to new markets? And I know they say get uncomfortable to get comfortable. But it's to a point where it's just like Lewis would say, dig that hole deep and look search for that gold versus just digging too many shallow holes. And I just keep, I'm like, you know what? Let me just keep learning and learning and learning all I can learn and and bring more and more value to the industry.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely you can kind of moving is home service, right? We're providing a service, home service type industry here is kind of how I see it. So, yeah, man, if you ever were looking to diversify, I mean, it's whether it's HVAC or what have you. I mean, everybody needs a sales playbook. Everybody needs a marketing blueprint, right? It doesn't matter what industry, what
Hmm.
organization, or what have you. But to me, home service is tied into moving, I would say. So if you ever did want to kind of branch out, but again, I do like to dig deeper, and I had a different way to say it, but it was more the shotgun, the rifle approach versus a shotgun approach. And of course, you can tell them from the Northeast at that point, like, do you just want to sit there and, you know, pepper a giant wall with all sorts of little BBs from the shotgun, or do you want to have a very dialed in, calculated bang and aim small, miss small, sort of say? But yeah. So what's on the topic? What's on the docket for today? I always get excited, man, because when I see you on this particular day of the week, I'm like, hey, that's one more day closer to the weekend, which I didn't
Oh,
have that as a mover. So now I'm like, yeah.
oh yeah, it definitely makes the week go by fast when we have our show in the middle of the week or whatever the case is. It's like every Monday, you're like, well, I'm looking forward to Thursday because Thursday's gonna be great, and I get to let it all out because, geez, I feel like crying sometimes. No.
I feel like this is my session to vent, right? Like it's been a long week, and I think that I wake up on Mondays and I'm like, all right, looking at my schedule for the week, and I'm like, all right, I got Max moving, training, podcast, boom, coming up Thursday, but I'm like, man, that's a long way away. And the next thing you know, here we are. So
Hmm.
yeah, I use this time to vent and just get it all out there after having
Yeah.
3 days of craziness.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Today, I think I just been seeing, following people post. seeing what people have been saying about the industry. I know there was one post that kind of stood out, but nothing out of the norm where it's just like this guy who did a move for a customer uh didn't end up getting the payment from the job until like he did a check, which I always frown on anyways. And they were supposed to pay him at the end of the job, but I guess the family didn't pay him, and they was going to either mail him a check or get him a check, however. And then he calls back a few days later, and the husband's like, "Well, there was some damages to some of our stuff."
I was gonna say you call back and, oh, you know what? I pay you, but we've got some damage. It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, and it was like a little mark on their fridge that's in the garage. But they pasted it, they used a marker, made sure it was good. And they did some minor other fixtures in the house as well to make sure it was good as well. But now, the husband's like, "Oh, well, that fridge actually costs this much and blah, 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 blah." And pretty much was like, and I think the move was probably like somewhere in the ballpark, so like $1,200. And he was like, "Yeah, it was, I didn't buy it damage." So yeah. So now he's like, "Oh, I think it's worth $1,000, not $100 that you're trying to take off." And it's
See,
like,
that's something that I did see that post. This happened to us a few times. But I almost want to like peel the onion back on the customer experience, right? Like, was it just that one damaged piece? What did it look like? How did, and again, I don't know the moving company, and I'm
mhm.
not saying anything bad. I don't know the moving company, don't know the situation. Um, but obviously I always try to, why did the customer not want to pay? I mean, I always find it hard to believe that, and I'm sure this does happen, but no one's going to hire a service knowing that they don't have the cash to pay for that service. Now, I'm sure that does happen, right? But I look at throughout my life, I've never hired a plumber or an electrician and being like, hey, I'm going to have them fix my stuff. And then I'm just going to say, hey, I'll pay you later, or not now, or now I'm going to try to make a claim on something, or I've got damage or what have you. So I almost wonder, like, what happened from the start of that move? Did something eat the customer? Was the experience not right, where they just didn't feel the value? Like, what happened?
I
Is
just
it just
think some, I
damaged
just think
fridge? Like,
Yeah, I just think sometimes people just don't really want to pay. And if you get them out, they're gonna take it.
that's crazy. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like you can't even like say, hey, I'll start the claims process, but I need to get paid. I mean, if the guy's claiming a grand, he, man, that
And it
sucks.
and it was, I think it was supposed to be 60 cents per pound. And I know that a lot of movers frown on that. Oh, you got to do right by your customer, blah blah blah. And it's like there's contracts in place for reasons. Especially with New York. New York gives you that option to say, hey, you could sell valuation, you can give them 30 cents per pound, or you can get them up to a $2,500 lump sum. 30 cents per pound, we'll probably get them 60.
Yeah,
It
30,
is
30
what
cents per
it is.
pound is not covering it. You can't even buy a McDouble at McDonald's for 30 cents a pound, right? I mean, holy. We
So,
and I get, and I hear you. We obviously, yeah, the customer has the option, right? 30 cents per pound or intra 60 cents in New York State, or the full valuation coverage. Like, I get it, but there were often times in why we sold so much valuation. To me, valuation was amazing, right? We had minimal claims at our organization, well under the 2% piece there. So obviously all that money that we would collect, if we did come into an instance kind of like this here, or not say like that, because we didn't have an issue collecting payment, but say the customer did opt out of the full valuation coverage and they took the 30 cents, and you know what, the customer's been great to work with. Our guys did a wonderful job, but we did do a couple $100 worth of damage, right? Instead of, again, this was case by case. We didn't do it all the time, but if, the crew was wonderful, the customer's kind of raving. However, there's this little bit of a, rather than just say, hey, you know what, contractually, you signed up for 30 cents, so here's your $6 check. There were often many times that, again, case by case, what's the dollar amount? We would absolutely kick in a couple $100 if, we broke her cuckoo clock. Like, I don't
mhm.
even know, right? Like, literally, we'd send her a couple $100 or go get the clock repaired, right? Because at the end of the day, reputation on the line, that a 2-star review versus a 5-star review, and how we reacted to doing damage. And again, we didn't do it all the time, but we did do it a decent amount. But
Yeah.
again, back
It
to
was
knowing like,
valid.
hey, what's in your valuation, aka claims bucket, right? So if we
Mhm.
collected 90K worth of valuation throughout the year and we've had minimal claims, like of course you want to keep that money and leverage that for other pieces. But I always saw that valuation pot, sort of say, to go out. And you can dip in certain instances like this and do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, if your guys did break it, they broke it. It's not the customer's fault, right?
Hmm.
So, but
Now that was now you make a valid point, and it was about case by case basis. And like I said, we've broken. There's been stuff that was broken, like a mirror or something like that, like the actual glass of the mirror, but the frame was like an antique frame. And I would judge the situation. Hey, how did the guys break it? Did they trip down the stairs? Did they do something that was like, damn, are you serious right now? All right, let me go and repair it. Now, I didn't understand the whole logic about charging for valuation, especially in New York, because I'm a rule sticker and follower. Where it's like, if you tell me that the most I can charge a customer for $60,000 and valuation is $500 approximately, and that's just a rough figure. But if you're telling me that's all I can charge and I'm exposed to $60,000, the logic doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So, you know, and now that customer says, well, hey, this item was $40,000. Well, where am I getting that from? Oh, I got to file a claim. Oh, geez, now my insurance premium is going to go up, or I'm going to get dropped.
that's high value inventory right there.
you know, so it's just like it don't make no sense. So I was like, I'm never putting myself at that exposure risk. Now I was using movinginsurance.com, which was a really great insurance company for supplementary insurance. And but then they started charging more than what I was making from the valuation. So they're like, "Oh, you want that $60,000? We're going to charge you like 650." Well, I can only make 500.
You know, I can only charge 500.
So I was just like, "This don't add up. I'm losing money in this case, and I'm still exposed." You
Yeah.
know.
That's where, it comes down to, how are your crews? How well are they trained? How great of a job? I mean, you gotta have the data to make those decisions, whether you should be charging or should be offering valuation or you should not be. If obviously if you're if every move you're having a claim, I'd probably shy away from the valuation because it's not going to be a moneymaker. It's going to just absolutely sink the ship.
Hmm.
Or if you've got great crews, they do a wonderful job, like absolutely, I'd be slinging valuation coverage all over the place,
Yeah, I
right?
think I think we were in a mixed market of high end, no, not high end, medium class to people that don't give, honestly. And I think it's the inconsistency of going into those houses that people don't care, that they were like, oh, well, you don't have to wrap this. Just throw it on the truck. And then the next day you go to a house where a customer's like, well, I was expecting the guys to wrap it. And they kind of just carried it outside the house naked and draped it in a truck. So I think they scratched it. And it's just like that inconsistency in trying to make sure that the guys are doing the same job for every customer, and not having that complaint that customers are saying, oh, well, they took too long. I didn't need them to wrap all that stuff so professionally.
Yep. I'd say, what snuffs out claims, even though the claims on a job is crew transparency and consistency, kind of like you're mentioning there. There was many times, like I just feel like the average consumer knows during a move, like something's going to get scratched, dented, dinged up. We've all moved ourselves, right? And again, I know you're hiring professionals and things like that, but I don't think there's ever been a move that anyone has done where there hasn't been some type of damage, right? Now, whether the customer hasn't seen it or the crew isn't aware of it, but our guys were damn good at basically kind of setting the tone, right? So we had that big home care kit. I think we talked about many, many, many weeks back. It was a massive hockey bag that would be draped over the shoulders of one of our crew leads. Inside there was the rug runners, the door jamb protectors, railing protectors, ram board, all that stuff, right? So the customer, as soon as we get to the door, they're like, oh my gosh, what is in that bag, right? Like, was there a body in that thing? Like, it was a massive bag. It was a hockey goalie bag. And our guys would drop the bag, unzip it, and say, hey, basically, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is our home care protection kit. We leverage everything inside here. We're going to basically put rug runners here, cover door jams here, boom, on the main egress, regress, what have you. So instantly that customer's like, wow, these guys are trying to protect my house, protect my goods from any claims. Now, during that move, when something would happen, our guys would be the first to walk up and be like, hey, Mr. Customer, you know what? I just put a tiny scratch on the leg of your dresser. I am so sorry. Bye bye. Here's the name of our claims agent. Bye bye. And put that out there. customers like love the fact that our guys were so transparent and were so helpful, and the fact that we try to do everything that we could to prevent a claim. That oftentimes when claims should have been a claim should have happened, customers like, no, guys, you guys tried everything you could. You know what? Things happen. It's a small scratch. It's a little dent. Don't worry about it. Like it happened all the time.
Hmm.
Like I just feel like you can minimize a lot of your now if you throw a refrigerator off the front porch, right, in front of the customer, like yeah, they're probably not going to let that one slide. But I'm telling you, man, if you set the tone of the move of, right from the get-go that you care and you're going to provide this level of service, and people understand mistakes happen, right? So I just think the better job we can do of prepping the homes and showing the customer, hey, we're doing everything that we can to prevent claims. Um, the better opportunity they have to not even make a claim because they almost feel bad. And I've been in that myself when I had someone come here to do some work on the outside of our house. I had a big old giant truck and it kind of put a big crack in the asphalt of the driveway. And he was like, "Oh my God." And he was a wonderful guy, but oh my gosh, man, like I cracked your driveway. You just let me know what I need to do. They were so great and they were so responsive to just the regular service aspect of what I originally called for. I'm like, guys, listen, it's an 8-year-old drive. Like, who cares? Like, I'll get it figured out. Like, I don't want you guys to, because it was only like a $1,200 job, right? And probably to
Hmm.
repair that driveway, if I would have got quotes, probably like $2,500. So I probably could have got a driveway out of it, right? But those guys just left such an impact on how they communicated with me, the level of service that they provided, that there was no way in hell I was going to go ahead and make a claim at all. Now, again, that's me, right? I'm sure we all know there's claim jumpers out there
Hmm.
too. So,
Yeah. Now I was gonna say, so with the home protection and everything like that. Now we did use home protection and stuff like that. We had a bag and everything like that. Now I've seen some people that go really like basic, and I was probably one of the basics. And I've seen people that go really in depth. And when I say in depth, I'm talking about like, okay, they have runners all throughout the house. They done taped it down to the floor or whatever the
yep.
case is to make sure it didn't slip. They got cardboard on different corners and stuff like that. Like they really went in depth. It took them probably a solid 10 minutes or 15 minutes tops to prep the whole home before they even started moving items. Now,
100%.
now I get that part. You make that first initial impression when you get to the load up, you set up the house and everything like that. But now we're talking about it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're heading to the unload, and you get to the unload address. And do you still set all that up again before you do the unload and all this other stuff? Because I'm like, at a certain point in time in the day, these guys are tired as hell. They're like, oh, you know what? I just want to get this truck unloaded.
Yeah, me personally, absolutely, right? I mean, because I look at you put a gouge in hardwood floors in the center of a room, what's that going to cost you? Now, obviously, we know home damage is separate than valuation, right?
Hmm.
So, to me, as you scratch that one floor, like they're just not going to come in and sand it down, what have you. And how I know this is we've been there. We had $20,000 worth of floors to replace
Ooh.
on a $6,500 move, and in reality, we didn't do the scratch. I almost know just that's a whole nother story. But yeah, and it was at the top of the stair. And of course, it was these fancy gray wood. I don't even know what type of floors. I can't recall what they were, but they were expensive. It was in a $900,000 house, which you think my area, Dwight. That's a giant home. Like nothing, 900K in other areas is just a 900 square foot home. This was like 8,000 square feet, massive, right? Executive. And they weren't just coming to sand it down. They had basically had the floors replaced from the top step all the way back. And obviously that turned into a massive insurance piece for us. But absolutely, like take the 20 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes. Take the 30 minutes, throw down those rug runners, protect those carpets, protect the railings, protect your door jams, because that's something that movers are responsible for. That home damage, that's 100% on us. Um, you know, so
Yeah, no, that's definitely
separate than the
true. I
valuation.
I had one customer who was just looking for scratches. We were moving into their house and they were just looking like every inch, every like they were on top of us literally as we were trying to bring a fridge in. And we had to remove the door, physical door from the house so that we can have the space to get through the door. And while we are trying to carry it through the house, We get to in the kitchen, it has a little fridge cubby hole. So now we have to put it down. We have to, use the wheels to slide it into the cubby hole. And, they're just looking, oh, don't scratch on my floor, don't scratch on my floor. And it's just like, there's absolutely no way that we can avoid at this point getting it in there without, using the wheels on the fridge as it's intended to use to slide it into the cubby hole. So as soon as we slide in there, she's just looking at the floor, like literally, like just looking like, is that a scratch? I'm like, no,
Hey,
that's dust.
yes. And hey, this is where, companies need to leverage that technology, right? So, prior to even starting a move, when the driver should be walking through the home, kind of doing that pre-move walkthrough with the customer, why is he not recording? And if he sees a scratch on the floor, taking pictures or what have you, and then doing the same thing at the end. Now, we had a pre-move walkthrough and a post-move walkthrough that was mandatory in every job that we did. And that also helped eliminate a lot of home claims. Now, we're not talking even damaged goods as well, but if we walked into a house and our driver saw a big old gash on the floor or a dent in the wall or something wrong with the refrigerator, you know how that, you could tell it was moved before because you could see the strap marks where the stainless steel was kind of like sucked in a little bit. We take pictures of that. 100%. Any damage. Now, again, does it take more time?
Oh yeah.
Yes. But also by you doing that, you better believe the customer is going to ask, like, hey, hey, we're just looking for any pre-existing damage or what have you. In the event that there is a claim, we want to make sure that we are as accurate as we can for you. So right there in the customer's mind's like, oh, wow, these guys, I'm not going to try to find scratches here. I'm not going to try to pull a fast one over on Dwyght Mack's moving company because these guys know you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes taking that, leveraging the technology that we already use, whether if you're using a live switch or what have you, I mean, shoot, have your crew guys take a quick video, take pictures of any damage or what have you. Um, it goes a long way.
Yeah, no,
And
it definitely does. And I think when I was using one of the other CRMs, I'm not going to mention names on here, but when I was using the other CRM, um, they had the option for you to take photos on the job.
yep,
And when you would take photos on the job, it was to upload the photos was very slow. And that's the worst when you're on a moving job. It's just like, are you really serious right now? You're going to take this much time to load up and save, and then I got to write what description or what's going on in this situation. You know what? Let me just take it with my phone, and then I have to remember to upload all these photos afterwards. And you start to realize your phone is getting piled up with nonstop photos of different jobs. You're like, oh, what job was this?
hey, you just teed me up. You just teed me up perfectly. Obviously, everyone knows that at this point I work for Superman, right? Like no surprise, but no, we actually had the same issue. So our driver's tablet can take pictures and what have you, and we've been hearing for a while now from our customers that hey, it just takes too long to upload pictures. So we've been reverting back to our phone. So I appreciate the tee up, and you did not know this, Dwight, but we have since fixed that and improved the improved the experience, and you can basically bulk upload, snap upload, just like your cell phone at this point. So again, I don't even know how we got down that avenue, but
Hey,
yeah,
I'm glad I could lead you down that
you
way.
did. You didn't even know that. Yeah, like literally, this just came out like a couple weeks ago. Um, for us. So it was super exciting because like it's those little things, right? That sometimes you often don't think are a very important piece, but that's why we spend a lot of time walking through moving companies, visiting our customers because oftentimes you think you build something that is going to be super impactful for a mover. It might not be, or there might be something that's already built that you just need to tweak just a little bit because hey, in this case here with the other CRM that you were using, they had that availability to do that. It just wasn't very efficient. It was
Hmm.
slow, and we were too. And I guess we didn't know that. And you don't know that until you start, doing some on-sites and really, diving deep into the customers that you have of, hey, what do you love? What don't you love? What could be improved on? Um, yeah. So I don't want to get into the CRM talk by any means, but I won't bore everybody with that, right? Everybody,
Well, everybody needs a good CRM.
and there's many out there, right? And I just look at that as, and I think this is where I differentiate myself from others is like, I hate to say there's an ass for every seat. And depending on where your business is, you might need a different level of CRM system, right? So, the last thing I want to do is if I'm consulting with somebody and they don't want to grow or they just want to kind of maintain where they're at and they don't need this feature, that feature, like why would I push them to a particular CRM that is just too much for them? like just
Hmm.
way over the top, right? So I see myself more as a guide. Yeah, would I love to have everybody on our platform? Of course, but like that's just it's not realistic. It's not real. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that's a big differentiator between myself and everybody else in this space is like I like to guide people to where they belong, and
I
at
hear
some
that.
point when they grow and when they get where they are, they're gonna remember, hey, this guy Ryan from ABC Software Company will say, guiding me in a great direction, but guess what? Now I'm ready for him, or I'm ready for this or that. So I think if you can be a trusted kind of source in the industry, regardless of what you're selling, what product you stand behind, be transparent, be upfront, be that kind of again back to that trusted source. They always come back. They will always come back and always remember you. Because how often, I
Oh yeah.
mean, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go too deep into
Yeah. Well, you definitely
realms.
want to make sure you definitely stay relevant. That's key. And that's for movers as well. Hey, if you are not networking, going out there, going to events, going to like before work events, like in the capital region, they used to always have like events like between 8 and 9 in the morning. And
Yeah.
if you just show up there and it's like speed networking, you just go into a round table where you speak with somebody for like 60 seconds to maybe like 3 minutes, and then they rotate you to the next person or whatever the case is, or they'll have tables and they'll send you to another table. And you just let them know about your business, they let you know about their business, and you feel like, okay, well, hey, if this person is someone I is my ideal customer, which in the moving industry, really everybody's your customer, but you don't want to target everybody. But if you feel like this is your ideal customer, that's that person where you actually spend a little more time with them after the event and you get their information and you get on your business cards. You let them know, hey, yeah, we can create proposals for you. Make sure you have your stuff dialed in back at your office where if somebody says, well, hey, I have a 20, 20 unit project that I need you to move. And you're just like, geez, 20 units. Well, obviously, I need to know the bedroom. I need to know all the inventory. I need to, like, there's no physical way to know all the inventory in that situation. But you have to make your best bet in that situation where it's like, well, hey, this is a 3 bedroom. How long has it ideally taken you to move a 3 bedroom apartment, not a house, a 3 bedroom apartment? And now you have 5 more of those. You have 5 2 bedrooms and et cetera, et cetera. And you got to be able to make that proposal. Ask whatever questions you need to ask, but they really want you to have that flat rate price because it can't exceed. And obviously sometimes they are looking for the cheapest movers. I ain't gonna lie, that's just what it is when it comes to those things.
Hey,
um,
the people that were looking for the cheapest movers were not customers that I wanted to play with. I'll
mhm,
be very, and I know people are like, man, but lack of leads and oh, we need business. That's great, but I'm not filling my schedule with non-profitable work.
mhm.
We are, unfortunately, we are a for-profit business. We are not a charitable organization. So as much as I would love to help you, there is that, there's that line in the sand, as we'll say, that I am not going below this because what's the point? What is the
Mhm.
point of doing work just to do work, just to beat up your trucks, just to beat up your guys, to at the end of the day, just end up being net neutral? Like, no,
Yeah.
we're here to make money,
And the
period.
crazy part is I bit myself in the foot on one of our jobs where it was like a municipality type of job. And they were like, oh yeah, we got a bid for $5,000. Can you match or come in a little lower than that or whatever the case is? And I'm like, oh, $5,000. And y'all need us to do what? What's the inventory? Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we could do this. And I, I think we ended up charging them like 2,500 to $3,000. He's like, yeah, that's more than enough. We're good. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
How'd you make out?
we lost so much money because
I
they
don't mean to
didn't.
laugh at you, man, but hey, we all make those mistakes, right? You sit there and see that dollar, it's like, ooh, 2,500 bucks. Like, yeah, I got nothing going on this day. And then next thing you know, 7 days later of work at $2,500, you beat your trucks up. Just the fuel and labor alone, you're over 2,500 bucks. And you're like, man, what was I thinking? Right. But hey,
Hmm.
lesson learned. That's where, having an impactful playbook, sort of say, ready to roll will definitely prevent some of that. But hey, we all make mistakes when we start out, right? So
Yeah, they don't never tell you about those long carries. They're like, oh yeah, you got to carry this from one side of the courthouse underneath the tunnels that go underneath the street and come all the way around and come up the stairs and put it in the other chambers. And you're just like, geez, that's a long walk with some heavy,
Yeah.
nice hard what is it? The nice oak wood furniture. And you're
And you
just
know
like,
the
I,
municipalities, they don't have that IKEA pressboard stuff. That's some solid wood that's probably been there for 110 years.
mm-hmm.
I always love the ones when I get into a boardroom, in a municipality or like a state office, and there's this 20-foot long table, and I'm just sitting there, we're on the 10th floor, and I'm going measure. I'm like, this thing doesn't come in half. Like I'm like, how'd you get this up there? And they're like, this has been in this room for 60 plus years. And we need it out. And I'm like, well, it's not fitting the elevator. I can't get this thing down the stairs. I'm like, who did this? Like, what moving company 100 years ago did this? Because I'd like to hire every single one of their crew members. But,
And,
unfortunately, it probably came in through a window, right? We had a
well,
lot of back in the day.
well, think about having to move judges and the pressure that you have. Like, oh damn, we
Like,
can't mess none of this up. They ain't trying to hear none of that stuff that we're gonna say. Oh yeah, well, you signed for 60 cents per pound.
no, hey, they're the legal ones, man. Moving attorneys and that's where I was like, always very transparent with everything. But anytime I, was, moving a law office or anything like that, you better believe I'm like, okay, you guys do understand all this, right? Like you do know you signed off on 60 cents per pound, like because you don't want to pay anymore, right? So when we do damage, you can't come back. Like you should know this now. Like you're signing this contract.
Yeah, no, I
They were
like.
always, be honest, they were some of the best people to work with, at least in my area, from what I've dealt with. So,
Yeah, no, I just say, hey, treat every customer the same, regardless of what type of
yeah,
profession they work in. And, like you said, be fully transparent. You don't never have nothing to worry about. But it's like in this situation where I knew I was losing money. I was like, geez,
nothing
this
worse than
job.
doing a job where you're like, man, I'm every time our guys are carrying, I'm losing money. Just,
Hmm. And it should have been a 1 day job. That's why it was 2,500. It's like 1 day, we're gonna send 6 guys, they're gonna knock it out. And when they were there beyond 3 o'clock, we knew that at that point we're starting to lose money. And then it
how many days of work was it?
ended up taking 2 days, but technically the second day was free. And the attorney's like, well, we paid you for a job. We're not paying no more. And I'm just like, I can't tell my guys this. So, at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to pay you guys. And.
No, that's why, having that detailed scope of service and having that written down in your quote, being very clear and concise as to the expectations of what the municipality or whatever the customer is going to do, what we're going to do. And if that scope of work changes midway through, beginning or the end, we always had kind of like an a la carte piece, right? So, hey, we bid on this portion right here. Now, if you want us to do more, we can absolutely, because we know once you get into a move, especially in an office setting where we did a lot of big building moves, right? I mean, 10, 12, 15 floors. So things change, right? Workers that are supposed to move their personal effects and pack their own boxes. Some of them do, some of them don't, or what have you. But we always had that kind of backup where, that's somewhere I was I a super stickler? No. If we had to end up packing just a couple boxes because Dwyght didn't listen to his manager and pack up his office stuff, like I pointed out and hey guys, you know what? I'm not going to go off the charts on this one. We're just going to pack this up real quick and we're going to take care of Dwyght. I'm not sure why Dwyght didn't listen, but it was one of them things. I kind of used it as like a, hey, we're kind of giving you a little bit here. We appreciate the work, but if there were times that we get there and like a whole floor wasn't packed, well, guess what? We skipped that floor. I brought in that manager who was managing the project from the municipality with the customer side of things and said, hey, you know, what happened here? We can absolutely help you out. However, it's going to cost X, and that's where, I always love change orders.
Yeah, no,
Change
definitely.
orders are my friend. Because what are they going to do, right? They have no choice. So there's a way you basically you're almost upselling while you're on the project.
We had a project that was set up for I think it was like in the Amsterdam area, and they were like, "Oh, we have 32, I think approximately like 32 units that need to be relocated. Some will be within the building, so from like the fifth, sixth, and seventh floor to they're going to be moving to like the first, second, and third floor, and then some of them might be moving off to another building." And they said we need quotas packing, moving, and unpacking services. Unpacking was the most annoying thing, but whatever. It was easy quote because we did flat rate stuff. Um, but then when we finally came out with the prices or whatever the case is, not knowing exactly the details of each unit, but most of it, I think we came out to like, I want to say like it had to be like 30, almost $30,000 easily. And they were like, oh, well, and that was approximately, I think it was like like $600-700 a door, what it rounded out to be. And they was like, oh no, we found somebody that could do it for like four to $500 a door. And it was just like when you did the math, you're like $400-500 a door. That's what two, let's just say 600 for round figures. That's 200 for your average packing. That's 200 for your average moving, and that's 200 for your average unpack. How many guys are you sending? Like the math isn't mathing. And and then I was gonna probably have to send my whole like almost my whole team where it's like, hey, I'm gonna have to send like 10 guys on this or at least 8 guys on this because there's so many apartments that need to be moved in such a short time. They wanted it done in like 3 weeks, and I'm just like just and it's the winter months. It was like November and December time. And it's like, are you
Oof,
sick? Yeah.
oof.
And it was a little bit after COVID. So they were like, oh well, we can't have too many people in the building moving around because of COVID stuff. So you're gonna have to limit how many guys you're sending. Plus, there's only one elevator that's actually working
Okay.
out of 2 elevators. So it's like, make it make sense, please, because
Yeah,
you
see a
know,
share elevator. Oof.
share
I would try to
elevator,
get the, I
not
always
that
try to
many
get
guys.
a dedicated elevator. Man.
And I'm like, what if people need to use the elevator because they're not gonna use the stairs? So it's like, how cheap are you really trying to be? And I understand that, these commercials are on budgets, but it's like the math isn't math. Like you limited elevator space, you're limiting our crew,
Yep.
and then you
And
want to go,
that's one where I'd be like, hey, I appreciate, but the level of service that you are requiring for the amount of money you're looking to spend is just not feasible with our organization. So hire ABC, not ABC Moving, because there is an ABC Moving company. Hire whatever moving company you want to at that point, because guess what? When they fail, because you're setting them up to fail, um, good luck. On the next move, you'll reach out to us and we're going to walk you through. We're going to do it the right way and you're going to pay the right piece. So yeah, we had plenty of moves like that, man, where it's like, well, I want the move to go this way. And it was like, okay, it's not the most efficient way. So I can do this, but it's going to cost you an additional 30, whatever the percentage was, right?
mhm.
It's going to cost you more. Well, I don't want to pay that. Well, if you want to reduce the expense it's going to cost, hear me out on this. Why can't we do the move this way? It's more efficient, it's streamlined, it's this, you'll be back up and running. Well, that's not how we want to do it. And it's like, okay, then find a company that'll do it this way. You don't want to pay to have it done your way, you know? And it just wasn't things you never want to set your team or your crew or your organization up for failure ever. And a lot of
Yeah,
companies, I see a lot of sales reps doing that because they're just trying to get that sale. They're going to get the sale, they're going to get that quick commission. And at the end of the day, let operations deal with it. And it's like, oof, ooh,
yeah, no,
yeah,
I definitely had those arguments with my sales team at times where it was just like, why would you book that? Like, why would you, like, what in your head told you that this was okay?
yeah.
Like,
You want to stop some of that, do once a week or, bi-weekly, have your sales reps spend a day in operations dealing with all the shit that they booked and how they booked it, right? Have them spend a day in ops when they book one of these commercial moves. And again, I wouldn't say be on all commercial moves by any means, right? Sales guys got to do, you keep the pipe rolling, so to say, but put them on that job. Let them see if they bid it correctly. What is it running as smooth as they thought that they bid that thing? So I did that quite often, and that's kind of really what helped me dial in my quotes, especially in the large commercial projects. Not so much household. Household's pretty basic and easy, but as a sales rep, go out on a couple of the big jobs that you book and see, are they going to plan as you thought? What did you miss? What did you overachieve, underachieve, or what have you? And what's the morale of the guys on that piece? But yeah,
yeah,
if your sales team can be more in alignment with your operational team, a lot of magic can happen right there. Rather than just, hey, sales' job is to book and then turn it over to ops, and we don't care. No, man, at all. I spent a lot of time in operations as a sales rep wearing two hats. And I'll tell you, having a sales hat and an operational hat on at the same time, I had internal fights with myself. Like, oh, I want to book
Hmm.
this. Man, we're going to be right at capacity. So we probably should. But man, this is a great move to have. Like, holy, it was like Humpty Dumpty, man, on that wall. I wasn't sure which way I was going to fall. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Great
Well,
experience.
two things to hit on with that. So I do give a shout out to Yuri at Moving Sales Professionals, who, when he was handling our sales or so like that, his team actually, stuck through the whole operations aspect of it. After booking the move, they would actually contact the customer, make sure everything was still going smooth before their move, and then even during the move, if there was an issue or whatever the case is, and they're like, "Oh, I told the sales guy this, blah blah." First thing we would do, get that salesperson right on the call, and they're like, "Hey, so this is all the notes that we went over together. You didn't mention this, or you did mention this. Okay, well, we'll try to adjust it." And the salesperson actually stood through the whole process versus it becoming more of an operations thing, where it's like, "Well, I don't know what he said, but this is how it's going to be." And so I give a shout out to them because they actually, make sure their reps stay through the whole sales process until the job is completed. And then the other note I was going to say, you said something. It's going to come back to me, but
So I just spoke with Yuri about 2 weeks ago. I don't know where I met him. I don't know if it was in New York or New Jersey or something like that. I don't know. I feel like I just meet all these people randomly. I'm like, I travel so much. I'm like, I don't even know where I met them. But actually, speaking of travels, man, are you going to be conferencing up anything this upcoming season? Or are you going to kind of pause until 2025
I
before you?
think I was gonna I think I was gonna pause to 2025, but I know that the PMSA is definitely having an event relatively soon. So is the New York conference is having an event very soon. I gotta get the rest of the people's information from you.
I'll be in
Um,
New York. So that the crazy thing is New York and PA are basically running at the same time. No, because I love Charlie Morris down in PA. But obviously I do a lot of what I do a lot of work for the New York piece as well for Bill Whalen and Brian Hassett and their team. Love that organization. Just like I do PMSA, but it's like how do I be in two places about 5.5 hours? So one's in New York's in Fox Hollow this year out in Long Island, and PMSA is in Gettysburg about 5.5 hour drive. So I've mapped this out like, hey, do I spend a day and a half in New York and then I make a 5.5 hour drive and catch the tail end of the PMSA? Like, how am I going to do this? Um, so yeah, I got some crazy decisions to make here shortly, but
oh yeah. No,
yeah,
I was definitely thinking about it, but definitely making sure that, like you said, everything is cost. We got to be realistic. These events aren't cheap.
no,
So, definitely making sure that it's feasible, it's in your budget, and you got the travel expenses, you got the hotel cost. Just like if you guys were going on a long distance move, hey, are you ready for that move? Did you charge enough for you guys to stay in the hotel if they need to stay in the hotel? Did you factor that into your cost? Did you factor in that they need food? Don't just think that, oh, well, it's on them to buy their own food. No, because they're still technically on your clock,
yeah.
you
Now,
know.
actually, New York and PA are probably some of the two, even New Jersey. Like, dude, I'm telling you, you should go to New Jersey. Like, it's coming up. Actually, I don't even know if they're, well, actually, no, vendor wise, they're full. Because I had a couple people that asked if there's a way I could try to get them in, and love Tracy.
And
Tracy's awesome. You got
oh,
to
you
meet
mean
Tracy.
for their event?
Yeah, dude,
Okay.
Tracy and her team put on. It's probably one of my, I love all conferences, right? But there's something, I don't know what the magic is behind New Jersey's, but like I went to my first one last year, dude, and it was incredible. I think the most incredible part was, and I'm not sure if Tracy's going to hear this, but I don't even know if she knows this and how impactful it was. But it was one of my first conferences, well, about 2 years ago, I will say, of going to a conference representing another company, right? So I'm like, and New Jersey. So I'm like, man, how are these people gonna take me? Like I'm the new guy, and not only the new guy, like I'm a software guy, right? So you know how that's gonna go. I'm
Hmm.
a CRM guy and the new guy. And I remember I walked in and I didn't necessarily know what Tracy looked like. But I was like a deer in headlights and I was like, hey, Ryan Marsh from Supermove. And Tracy must have heard it when she comes from around the table. Giant hug, welcome, thank you so much for coming. Oh, let me introduce you to basically everybody. And it was like that moment. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm home. Like it was just so, she just does a hell of a job. And I know I've said it a million times, but dude, if you get a chance to get out to New Jersey, you got to book early because they book fast.
Mm.
And they do a nice job. And it's in the Golden Nugget. The only problem with that is like you go into the casino and you don't come out for like 3 days. Like I feel like I didn't see any daylight. I went on a Tuesday and left on a Friday, and I was like, damn. Like, all right.
So I think Michigan got a new conference, got a new chapter for the associations.
Yep.
From what I've last heard, I think on LinkedIn or so like that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty exciting news to hear that there's a new association. Because I think it's only about maybe, and I might be even overestimating, about like 12 to 18 of them.
Hmm.
So I got them on my website, but I think, like I said, Michigan must be a new one because I think they just started ramping up saying that, hey, we got our new conference, or they got new leaders. So they may have been around and they just got promoted new leaders to the top.
No, I mean, moving associations is where it's at. Like anybody that's a vendor in the moving side of things, like that's my go-to. They're some of the nicest people. They're always willing to help. But at the same time, like you got to be willing to give back and help them as well. Whatever,
Mhm.
maybe hopping on communications committees or helping them plan an event or whatever, sponsoring certain pieces. Like if you give to your moving association, 100%, you get back what you give and some, I would say. Um,
Definitely.
As a moving business owner, your day starts with a plan. But what happens when your movers don't show and that plan falls apart? Last minute no-shows. You're left to bootstrap, jumping in as an extra body. Yet sometimes, even that's not enough. This isn't just a disruption, it's a barrier to your business growth. Introducing Moving Force, your on-demand moving team. With Moving Force, say goodbye to no-shows and hello to peace of mind. With reliable, on-demand staff ensures you're never undermanned, turning your operational nightmares into a thing of the past. Moving Force, where every day is moving day and every move is smooth. Empower your business and keep growing without missing a beat. Join Moving Force today and move forward with confidence.
Silent Break is brought to you by Moving Marketing Blueprint, Dwyght Mack.
So, but no,
What am I gonna, I feel like I'm talking to my, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm like, what am I talking to myself here? Like, no way. I didn't think you could hear me though. So I'm like, look at Dwight on a dueling podcast. I see you working it. I don't know whose podcast you're on, but you better get back to this one.
no, but no, honestly, yeah, definitely the marketing program has been really good. I think a lot of you guys who definitely need to turn up in your marketing this off season definitely should utilize it. Like I said, we go over social media, go over SEO, postcards, everything related to what most movers are utilizing today, except for Google Guaranteed. But we threw a little extra stuff in there for Google Guaranteed. And ultimately, we don't talk about necessarily how much you should spend in those areas because that's preference based, that's market based, really based on your competition. But we definitely talk about like keyword searches and stuff like that if you're using Google Ads because people are using the wrong keywords when they try to manage their own Google Ads. And some of the very broad terms like let's just think of a term real quick, like affordable movers or whatever the case is. Because it's so broad, it could be considered a very weak keyword that you're losing a lot of money on. Or if you use terms like movers near me, that it weighs a lot of weight if it's in that general area. But like if it's obviously outside of that area because you're marketing in multiple different counties, unless your SEO team is really doing a great job and you have an SEO blueprint in that market itself, it does you no good. So now you're wasting keyword terms. And that's where a good SEO expert and a good Google Ads expert can come in and say, well, hey, you know what? Let me make sure that you're really ranking. Let me make sure that you're really getting leads from the keywords that we're using, and we can check Google Analytics and make sure everything is going well. Um, so don't try to do it y'all. I had some friends that said, you know what, I'm not paying $2,000-3,000 for SEO. I'm going to do it myself, and they YouTube it and they figure out, how
I'm
to
sorry, I don't know
do.
why this thing's clapping here. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to raise my hand because I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm not an SEO guy. Well, I'm starting to learn more and more and more, right? Is that something like for my personal sub shop that I have? Can I log into Google somewhere and punch in those keywords that you're talking about? Is that something I can do, or do I have to leverage a Google Advisor or Google Professional or what have you? Can my old
So
behind do that?
SEO and Google Ads is different, but they work in alignment. SEO is mainly meant for like your website or your blueprint online if you're on a different website, like if you're networking. So let's say you're on moving.com, and moving.com advertises your business on their website so that it helps on your Google rankings. That's more like SEO for them. Now on your website, pretty much you want to make sure you're using keywords in your text. And then you have to go into the back end of your website where it actually has a SEO section where you can actually put keywords that people are likely searching for.
Okay.
And with those keywords that people are likely searching for, it would pop up on your website will pop up. So if you say, oh, well, movers near me, but you have words on your website that says, yeah, movers near me somewhere on your website, it helps, like the two words and the two keywords help, because now it's like almost like doing a search when you're on a website and you hit that hourglass and you say, hey, search for claims, and all of a sudden it brings down and it highlights the word claim somewhere.
Yep.
It's almost similar to that, but they both have to be in alignment. It has to be the front end of your website saying some keywords of some sort, and then it has to be the back end of your website mimicking those keywords.
I've got to get away. I don't have a website or a landing page yet for our business, but obviously it's been super successful. But it's like I always want to, now that we've kind of reached this point, like now I've got to get the landing page, the website, or what have you, um, just to capture more, because it's cool. Because I look at my Google Analytics piece, and it's crazy how, like, last month we generated over 600 phone calls from Google. It shows the traffic, how many people have reached out, and what have you. But it's like I really want to start honing in on that. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a sub business or a moving company, what have you. Like, how do I just take that to the next level? And that's one thing.
Well,
That's an area of focus I've got to start doing here shortly.
well, you definitely want to stay relevant. Now, you may not need a website per se if it's just a sub shop for the most part. You
I
could
was
do
thinking a
it.
basic landing page should be more
Yeah,
than.
yeah, you could do that, or you can even use your leverage your Facebook pages.
Oh, I'm crushing it on Facebook. Absolutely crushing it.
And your Facebook pages will pop up. As long as you have a map, you're on the maps or
Yep.
on Google Map Pack, and somebody is able to search your sub shop name and be able to find your name, your Facebook page on like your Google search, then that's when you kind of like I said, make sure you're relevant. So you always want to check your Google Garden to see how your company is performing and where they're being seen at.
Yeah. No,
So
because that's I do see that. It's like food near me, subs. Like you can see what people like. What's the common category? And I'm probably saying this wrong because this is not my space, right? But the common categories of what people are searching for that got them ultimately to
mhm.
call us or show up. And it's crazy how many people ask for directions. Like, how
Now
do
are
I
you
get
using
there? I'm like,
are
man,
you
you like, what's that?
are you using not thumbtack, Yelp?
No, I actually haven't done a single thing with Yelp at the moment.
Well, you don't have, again, don't pay for anything, but
Oh, I'm not.
you get that page just for the SEO piece of it. You get the
Hmm.
free page. People or whoever search Yelp to look up reviews and stuff like that, they'll see your page pop up there. They'll see your page pop up on Google Garden, your Facebook page. So the more places you can get organically, get for free.
I forgot about Yelp. That's a great one to yeah, I basically Facebook been crushing it. And then obviously I've got just shy of a we just started really kind of going after reviews, right? Because everyone's like, oh, you guys are good, you're this, you're that, what have you. And they're leaving Facebook reviews, but ultimately like, eh. So we really on a big push for Google reviews, and I'm so close to 100 after really trying to dial this in the past 30 days. So I'm excited to get to my first 100 5-star reviews.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely got to get my reviews up as well. I know I've been kind of falling back a lot with everything going on, but reviews is good. I'm a 5-star company right now, so I like to keep it that way. But definitely having that count and credibility definitely helps.
Absolutely.
But all right, guys, so we are at the top of the hour, and I hope you got some good gems, takeaways, what have you. But we will see you guys next Thursday, pending no craziness going on. And you guys keep turning up. We are almost at the end of the season, so next Thursday pretty much is the end of the month, y'all. We're going into the other half of the year. Yeah, what do you guys got planned? Um,
I got travel planned, man. It's gonna be I'm actually pretty excited to rip it up with you on Thursdays when who knows where I'm, especially like where's Waldo basically. But I'll be posting up in hotels, conferences. We'll do some live pieces out at events where I'm at, and just kind of give the folks like a little idea of, hey, like what type of magic happens at these conferences and conventions.
yeah,
Because
I
I think
definitely want to
they all should
go.
be attended. So maybe I'll go live on the cell phone with you, and you just kind of see how wild and crazy, not wild and crazy it gets, but just, some of the amazing people that show up for these things. Because they are fun. It is work though. Everyone thinks, oh, it's conference season. Oh, and you just traveling all over. It's fun. Like, yeah, it's fun, but it's work. And you're
Hmm.
working like super remote at that point. So I don't have the luxuries of being at my desk and, oh, I got this. Oh, you want to see this? Okay. Sometimes it's a scramble here and there, but
Yeah,
I
and it's
love it.
all it's all stuff you guys got to bring back and look to figure out how you're going to implement it and not overwhelm your staff. So definitely having the right processes and systems, having somebody delegate it to a particular part of your company to update those tasks is going to be key. And keeping track of them. Hey, we recently just made a change to how we focused on our estimating. When was it changed? Who's monitoring that change? Are we implementing that change? And just constantly following up is everything that you need to do as a CEO of your company. But all right, y'all, we will see y'all later. Talk to y'all soon.
See you guys.